Previously from the Hood Blogger.
So good timing for you on being able to answer this correctly here. My father was a singer back in the 70s, right? He had big hits like the year I was born. One called Everybody Plays the Fool. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, no, let me take that back a little bit because he had hits before that. It was in the early 70s. He had a hit. I was born in 76, right? By 76, apartheid starts. He goes out to South Africa. It's a bad time to perform if you're from the States. So you come back home, you get blacklisted.
Yo, this SV Twiz, the Hood Blogger. Y'all know how I carry it, man. Shout out to everybody that been rocking with the content. I appreciate y'all. Salute to all the new subs, man. I really appreciate that. If you're a returning viewer and you ain't subbed yet, what's the hold up, bro? If you new to the channel, sub. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. But, man, we got some motion, man. QUILLY immediately responded, man, after, the podcast episode with Let's Keep It 100. And it's crazy because, I didn't think that Quill would, respond as fast as he did. But, Quill, he ain't playing no games, obviously. So just to give y'all a little backstory, if y'all didn't come across the last video or y'all didn't watch the episode of Let's Keep It 100 podcast, it was a lot that Santos pretty much, was venting on. And I gotta add too, I believe it was either his birthday or, the following day was his birthday. The host of the show, they had applied, a nice little drink for him and all that. So they was sipping. So, sometimes when you drinking and all that, you kind of let it go. So when I tell you he let a lot go on that episode, he let a lot go, bro. One of the things that they had touched up on was, I forgot exactly how the conversation had started, but they ended up somehow, some way Santos started talking about females. I think Santos was saying that, people like, yo, we want the old Santos back. And Santos, would get in his bag and be like, bro, at the end of the day, man, why y'all want the old Santos back? The old Santos was broke. The old Santos was jamming chicks. He said that, he was hitting situations and taking, $20 out they pocketbooks and all that. So it's actually a couple responses that Quill did, and I'm gonna show y'all both of the responses. Now, like I told you what he said when he was in the dark space and all that, his money wasn't right, and he's saying that he got his bread right now, so he not trying to go back to the old Santos. So he was saying like, dang, what y'all want to see me down? Y'all talking about y'all want the old Santos, whereas though I don't think that people meant it like that. Matter of fact, if a person told Santos that they want the old Santos back, I know for a fact they didn't mean it like that, because nobody don't really know the financial situation of, especially rappers. You know what I mean? We watched them DVDs, and I think what they was pretty much trying to speak about was, they wanted to see him had that run like he had during the We Run the Streets era, during the, the Come Up Show episodes. But this is the first response that QUILLY said as far as, responding to Santos. As y'all see, Quill would, respond basically saying, watch baby girl, watch them pocketbooks, because he goes in those too. That's, what he said as far as on the episode, as far as him dealing with females and then, stealing bread out their pocketbooks. So, like I said, he was drunk, so I guess, he just was letting it all out. And then, Quill would go to also say that, basically saying that, Santos is not from Philly. He would pretty much say that, he from California and stuff like that, which, from my understanding, he from West Philly, but he ended up during, the We Run the Streets era, like during the time when that was becoming to an end, or if I'm not mistaken, actually even before We Run the Streets wave was over, I believe he had moved out California, but he definitely was in California for a while, because I remember when I did my first interview for him, he was in Cali at that time. Whereas though, you know, the average person, you know, where we come from, bro, you know, you want to get out when you can't get a chance. So he probably felt as though he could further his career and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But, you know, Quill would go to say that why is these rappers that's not even from Philly, you know, claiming Philly, coming at me. Basically, he dealt with the same situation with OT the Real. So that would be the only other rapper that I could think of that, you know, he would pretty much be speaking about. But it's not over. You know, at the end of the day, it's like this, man. Shout out to, you know, QUILLY and shout out to Santos, because at the end of the day, you know, Philly is the home of the spitters. There's a lot of talent out there. And right now, bro, these other states is running it up on us. So, you know, we still got to remind people, you know, we not only is we hot and the thoroughest people on planet, but at the end of the day, you know, we got a lot of talent in the city. So, you know, I appreciate both of them brothers for, you know, keeping the streets entertained. And y'all know that I'm going to keep everybody updated. But before I, you know, get into the next clip, I just got to say this, man. This is all friendly competition, man. Friendly competition. And what I also want to throw in there is, as far as rappers, I know that I noticed that Santos felt as though when he was on the podcast, he kind of felt like, you know, that bro was being biased. But at the end of the day, we got to listen to this. You got to understand this, bro. Santos, and for any other rappers that's coming across this, if y'all put music out and people say that that's not it, bro, that's not hate. If a person tell you to your face that that's not it, you cannot consider that as hate. What you consider hate is a person acting like it's that, but behind your back and all that, you know, the person got a lot to say about you. So I don't know if Santos know the history between, you know, Let's Keep It 100 the podcast and QUILLY, but I remember when Quill had first came on a podcast and bro had told Quill that last stuff you dropped, bro, it wasn't it. And Quill didn't get offended. He said that, you know what, just because of that, I'm going to get in my bag. He said, I always going to accept, you know, constructive criticism for people that I know that's really tuned into my music. So what did QUILLY do after that? He got in the lab and then he started dropping heat after heat. You know what I'm talking about? This was literally right after that podcast, if y'all was paying attention. But, you know, I just gotta, you know, that's neither here nor there, but I'm going to let y'all hear the next response that QUILLY had actually did to Santos.
Down. Sit back down. Talk about battle with me. You need a meeting. You need to go to a 12-step program. You battling demons, nigga. You fighting shaitan. Sit back down.
If y'all didn't watch the episode and everything, then y'all would know that it was a part where, you know, Santos he pretty much got real compassionate during the interview. And like I said, they was also drinking. So he had got up a lot and, you know, tried to talk to the camera and everything. But during the time when the host was telling Santos, like, you know, you're not messing with QUILLY, you know, Santos got in his bag and he stood up and was, you know, talking out of compassion. And the host, you know, was like, you know, bro, sit down. Like, on that type time, he told him a few times, because at the end of the day, you know, when you doing like interviews and stuff like that, especially when it's alcohol involved, you know, you want to, it's personal space that you do have to respect. And Santos just seemed like he the type of person that he will have them debates. He loved, you know, music so much that he was talking to the host just like he would be talking to a person that he known for 10 years. And, you know, the host just felt as though, like, you know, you getting a little too close. And you saying he definitely was hyped, you know what I mean? So the host was just trying to calm everything down and, you know, relax the situation and said, let's just have it, you know, at the end of the day, a regular conversation. And then, you know, Quill would go in on him and pretty much say that, bro, you know what I'm saying, you fighting demons, you fighting, which we all do at times. And we have to remember that when Quill was dealing with the issues that he was dealing with, you know, of course the fans and everything love him, but And you know, during that time when you at a dark space, you got people that love you, but you also got people that really beg and laugh, you know, and joke about your downfalls and stuff like that. So that's also more of the reason why I think QUILLY have like lack of remorse when he come out and, you know, he be popping it and stuff like that. But let me know what y'all think about the response that QUILLY gave, man. It's SV Twiz, the Hood Blogger. Y'all know I'm going to keep y'all updated on everything. Make sure y'all sub, hit them notifications so y'all don't miss nothing.